Before we start today's show, let me tell you about the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West in Oxford. Lunch special today, $4.99, 2 sides of bread, 32-ounce drink, chicken spaghetti is your option today. Also tonight, pick up some ribs on the way home. Wet or dry, call ahead, or just go by and pick up. They'll be ready and waiting on you there at Blue Sky and the Oxford Exxon. You know you're going to get good gas prices and get helped out a little more even with the mobile rewards app, the Speed Pass Plus app. Tons of ways to save money with the Oxford Exxon. And we're coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio, 662-257-1900, Highway 25 South there in Amory, Mississippi. Give Corey a call. Within 15 minutes, you're going to get a quote. Do whatever you want with it. It's going to be your best deal. And remember, tell him you heard about his dealership on the podcast, an extra $500 off there with Clark Ford. Now onto the show.
From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. Good show for you today. We're going to visit with John Rhys Plumlee, the Ole Miss signee for football and baseball last week for National Signing Day. I talked to John Rhys yesterday for about 20 minutes, so get that interview coming up here in a little bit on the show. We talk everything from MLB scouts coming to his home, to football recruiting, to what his expectations are position-wise at Ole Miss. I'll talk about some of the other things he's doing in the community there around Hattiesburg and Oak Grove. So, good conversation with John Rhys coming up here on the podcast in a little while. Also, I've got a story I've been working on for a little while up this morning, an oral history of Swayze Field, dating really all the way back to the mid-'80s. We go through the entertainment tax that led to the creation, Ole Miss's fundraising efforts in the late 80s, and a couple of eye-opening quotes there, just talking about how far SEC schools and Ole Miss in particular has come in the money department. Tons of stuff there. You can read that at rebelgrove.com. Talk to a ton of people. Let them tell their own stories. So you can see that up on the site. Ole Miss basketball also got a win on Saturday, beating the Tar out of Georgia in Athens to move to 6-4 in the SEC, 16-7 I think overall, if I have that right off the top of my head. So they have a free shot, a big one at Wednesday at Auburn before they need to get back to for sure winning at home the next couple home games, as well as they make a charge toward at least consideration for the NCAA tournament. So we'll open up today, Mr. McCready. A lot of content, rebelgrove.com, a lot of stuff. So wherever you want to go, good here.
Now you tell me.
I don't know. I didn't know.
You spent a lot of time on that on the Swayze story. Probably spent a better part of a month on it. Were you pleased with it?
I was pleased with it. It's that deal where I always try to write a couple of these early or one of these early every year, and then if inspiration strikes later in the year. I mean, over the last few years, we've written the Mike Bianco hiring story a couple years ago. Wrote the Carolyn Kessinger story. I stumbled upon the Henry Ulrich feature a couple years ago or last year, whenever that was. So you never know what you're going to get in these. I didn't really know what the format would be. I saw a tweet about 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that, from Ole Miss showing the old stadium and the new stadium, the 30-year anniversary. And we've all knew of that the 2% entertainment tax that was what helped pay for the stadium. And we knew all the main things. But I wasn't sure what was deeper, and I'll be frank, I wasn't sure who was, A, alive, and B, able to still remember and talk about things from the mid-'80s. I made mention of this to somebody last night. I said, a lot of the principal characters, they've got buildings or streets named after them now because, hey, time's passed. Father Time wins out here. So I didn't know what I was going to run into, but people were incredibly helpful, talked to a lot of people, got a lot of just side stories too. I mean, I got a lot of stuff I edited out just because I had to cut it somewhere. I mean, I mentioned a minute ago that if I'd have put everything in, it would have to been bound and sold at some point. So had to make some editorial decisions there. I got a lot of help. Langston Rogers was very, very helpful at Ole Miss. Jeff Robertson pointed me in the direction for some Oxford people that could help out. I talked to Pat Tatum, one of the aldermen that was in with the entertainment tax. Really, the saddest part of it is one of the most instrumental people in it was Ed Perry, who just passed away several weeks ago, so just missed an opportunity to potentially talk to Ed, but he does get his due in the story together. And then once I accumulated all the quotes, it was a matter of editing and your eyes not crossing, because any writer knows if you got anything of any length, you don't notice what's in there anymore. You're not seeing mistakes. You're not seeing typos. So our good friend Summer helped out a ton with just looking at it and getting some other eyes on it to try to help me out a little bit from that standpoint. I felt like I was being graded a little bit as a journalism professor, but
it was her birthday weekend.
yeah, so I was getting help on the birthday weekend there. So just help from a lot of people. But, you write these long-form stories, and you want to do three things. You want to inform, you want to entertain, and frankly, because we're all somewhat competitive, you want to write the story well enough that nobody else can really write it. And I think I accomplished all three of those things. So that was kind of the goal going in. I mean, I talked to Archie Manning as he was recovering from back surgery. He was just kind of laid up. He gave me some time. And the thing that I mentioned on, I guess, last week's podcast, or at least to you, I don't remember if I said this publicly or not, is I sat down with Jake Gibbs for about an hour. He invited me to his house. We sat down and started talking. And before we even got to any of my questions, he was talking about Mickey Mantle and Sparky Anderson and just started telling stories. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know what the answer is to this, but Ole Miss right now has such intellectual knowledge in some of their older players with Jake and Don Kessinger and Archie Manning that it's almost kind of like when Vin Scully was hanging it up and different things. There has to be some way to archive some of these things, because it's stories that, frankly, there are not a lot of people that have access to these things or know these things as time passes and kind of the lore increases with it. So I don't know. That was probably my biggest takeaway. Was the two takeaways were that there's a lot of things that could be archived in some way, and then the second is, look, there was a lot of luck involved with here. There was a lot of persistence and a lot of just kind of dreaming, because Oxford in 1987, 86, that's not Oxford today. It was a sleepy town. There wasn't the tourism that's going on right now in this town, and you had to pass an idea that had a lot of detractors, not just faculty who said, hang on, we're building a baseball stadium for a team that's only been to the postseason once in the last 15 years or something like that. But even for the restaurant people, it's going, okay, you want to raise my prices. You want to make me have to go out of my way and do additional things to taxes, tabulate it, add it to the tickets. I mean, there weren't computers. We're just by hand doing this. And then on the other side, you've got townies, customers, the loyal people that are with you every day going, you're raising my prices too. So it was, looking back, it was fairly phenomenal that they got it passed, even though it wasn't easy as they did. John Leslie, Ed Perry. I talked to Gerald Turner for a while about it. He's now at SMU. He had a good hand in it. So a lot of things happen at the time that have set the stage where things wouldn't be the way they are necessarily for Ole Miss baseball at the time. And then they got the ultimate fortune of Mike Bianco turning it into a winning program later on. But yeah, a lot of fascinating stuff. A lot of stuff just as time passed that they kind of hit the right notes on that you weren't sure they'd be able to pull off. I mean, I don't necessarily want to dwell on this part, but I find it interesting. I do want to mention one quote that I almost took out of the story because it doesn't necessarily fit. I just found it from a time capsule standpoint as revealing as a quote on where Ole Miss has come as maybe anything that I had. And it was a quote that was used in the 1988 Ole Miss Baseball Media Guide. It was from Warner Alford, who was the AD at the time. And again, this is a quote that they put in a guide. This was a promotional quote in the story about the drive for athletics and the baseball field and all those things.
88 would have been the last season in the old stadium.
Yeah. It was a page. It might have been the football guide, but it was a page showing Swayze Field and then showing, hey, we've got to raise money for these things. And it was tennis courts, track, paying off the rest of the baseball stadium, because the baseball stadium ran $3 million or so initially. The university had to pay $1 million, and then the city put in $2 million. It was $200,000 over a 10-year period from this entertainment tax.
Gotcha.
For the city's portion of it. Warner Alford's quote in a guide in 1988, quote, "We've paid a price to be a Division I school. What money we might have accumulated to new facilities we've spent adding and supporting new sports required to remain Division I. I'm glad we did it, but it meant that we've never been able to renovate or build new facilities to keep ourselves competitive with SEC schools." Just 30 years ago, Ole Miss haven't found a way to pay the bills.
Look, I've told this story before. I don't know that I've told it here because it's not a flattering story. So I went to Ole Miss because they offered the most scholarship money. I'd been here one time before. I'd come up I have cousins in Yazoo City, and we came up for a football game in 86. We went to Yazoo City on Friday night. We came up here on Saturday, and as soon as the game was over, we left. I remember nothing about it other than Ole Miss and Arkansas State tied, and it was the day that they recognized Archie Manning.
That's it.
First time I'd ever been there, thought nothing of it. I was going to visit the University of Alabama. My dad got his master's here, and he got his doctorate at Alabama. And so he said, why don't we go look at Ole Miss on the way to Alabama? Okay. We came up on a Sunday. It was in March. It's kind of funny when you think about it, because now it's February, and if you haven't already made your college decision, it's too late.
Yeah.
Which is kind of stupid, really. But anyway, back then it was Sunday in early March. It was we came up, and it was cold, because I remember we went and looked at Vaught Hemingway Stadium, and I remember thinking, that's it?
Well, part of this drive for athletics was just also putting the new press box in. At the time, it was an old press box that Archie pointed out had a yellow jacket nest all in it.
Yeah. I thought, that's it? And we looked at Tad Smith, which I thought, that's it? And I don't even remember.
That was only 20 years old for Tad Smith.
And I don't remember seeing a baseball stadium. I remember because they opened it my freshman year, and I didn't realize what a big deal it was. I was a kid. I mean, I had no idea.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when you think about how far that athletics program has come and where it was, that's why I've said repeatedly, I mean, if Ole Miss ever gets a mascot crisis again, just go figure out who it was that got you into the SEC initially. Make that cat the mascot. Because that dude's a hero, or woman, whoever, man, woman, group, whoever did it, that's because, at that point in time, you wouldn't have been able to pull it off.
The thing was interesting, and I'd never met the guy, I didn't know the guy, nothing. We talked about some common friends and stuff when I got him on the phone. It was Gerald Turner, the chancellor here from 84 to 95, or something like that, 85 to 94, whatever. And he's known kind of for his scuffle there at the end and the probation and the Billy Brewer stuff and a lot of things. And look, there might be a lot of negatives that I don't know, but I found him charming.
Yeah.
Found him polite. Gave me a lot of time after. Look, you've got to basically send in blood samples to speak to someone at SMU. That's not the easiest place in the world to get a hold of him. But after talking to his calendar person and his assistant and his scheduler and his whatever media rep, I finally got him on the phone, and he was fantastic. He was helpful. He was polite to all the people that you kind of expected him to be polite about looking back. He talked about some fondness for the university, and he must have been a heck of a fundraiser at one point, because we just talked about the shape Ole Miss was in. And
he absolutely was.
The Archie Manning quote also actually right below the Warner Offer quote, and look, trust me, I'm not going to read a bunch of quotes to you today. You can find them all. But just kind of in the topic, this is coming from Archie, who most people like and believe. I mean, I kind of laughed at myself because I identified everybody in the story of their title, and then I put Archie Manning and thought, that's fine. They'll figure it out. Nobody really needs me to add on to that. He says, because they asked him to raise $10 million for the athletic budget. They asked Archie and Dickie Scruggs to run the athletic campaign and raise $10 million. And Archie's quote about it was, now it sounds like such a nominal amount compared to campaigns, but when Turner went to Ole Miss, he said a capital campaign for $25 million, and everybody thought he was out of his mind. They had never raised money at all at Ole Miss. Everyone thought he was crazy, and Mississippi thought he was crazy. He raised $46 million. In the mid-'80s, raised $46 million for academics.
He played, and people out there can correct me if I'm wrong, and I could well be wrong. I am not a historian as it pertains to Ole Miss. I'm just not. But I think he played as big a role in recruiting out-of-state kids to Ole Miss and making that an objective and a priority as anybody. That's why I went there. I was an out-of-state kid with a good ACT, and there were a bunch of kids like that. I mean, I think his goal was to bring in more money from outside to grow the university. Because when I got here, it was a small school. It's a lot bigger now than it was then. It's a completely different look. I don't even recognize it.
Yeah, I mean, and that dovetails back to the start of the conversation. Is Oxford was just a small town. I mean,
I remember on that Sunday night telling my dad, this is too small. And I grew up in Ruston. But Ruston at that time, I swear to you, I think Ruston was bigger than Oxford. It's not now. But then I think it was.
Well, I'll tell you how small it was. Reading from the Alderman board minutes from 1986, it said that they had the election to whether or not to pass the tax, and let's see, there were only 1,100 people voting in that thing. Wow. 748 for, 401 against.
Wow.
So 1150-ish.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, because the opposition, it's pointed out even better, of the overall town, it says on May 6, 1986, written protest against levying the sales tax contained 1,077 names of qualified electors. 1,077, and that made up 23.4% of the electorate. So we're talking about 4,000 people that were voting in Oxford at the time.
Yeah,
Possible.
4 to 5, yeah.
Yeah. Possible names, not actually people voting, just people that could vote.
So you throw kids and stuff in, and you've got about a 9,000 person deal.
Tops.
Yeah.
Way tops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's remarkable how much it's grown. It's I don't know. I have such a different take on Turner than is the conventional take on Turner that it's probably not worth getting into. He was fighting a battle that virtually no one could win, and I think if you took an objective step back and looked at it, you probably would reach a different conclusion than is common. But no one's going to be able to take an objective look back at that, so you just let it be.
I was talking to William Lewis, one big baseball supporter from the 80s, owns Nilsson's department store, and he said, the sales tax is the story here because it's done so much for the town looking back. I mean, I also credit to the city of Oxford. Neil or any journalist knows how freaking difficult this is. I got a public records request back in 48 hours, which is almost unheard of. So credit to them by all stretches, including them having to go basically dig the 1987 amount out of storage because the systems had changed and there were no computers at the point. So credit to them. Point being, 2017, that thing brought in $3.1 million for Oxford. It built the recreation center that we talked about last week. Yep. I mean, this is a credit. I'm not being funny here. The aldermen have done a really good job because the way that thing was written was, hey, it's got to be for tourism and whatever. They've really stretched that definition in a good way to make sure Oxford benefits from that tax, because if you really held it to the letter of the law, you would be somewhat hamstrung on how you could use that as you move forward.
Yeah, that new rec center is fantastic. Like I said, I tweeted about it. I filled in and coached Carson's last basketball game on Friday night because the flu had devastated his team, including the coaching staff. And I was sitting there thinking about it, how nice it is. I mean, there's a track and all this other stuff that the other facility, God rest its soul, the other facility just didn't have. I mean, the other facility, you walked in there and it's still open, and the kids go play and stuff, but, you'd think, God only knows what's up in that roof. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, I can remember looking up and going, don't breathe deeply in here, whatever you do. So, I don't know. That tax is a success story.
We always talk about uniforms. I think they ought to bring back those pins from the late 70s.
It's a clean look.
Navy pinstripes with the Ole Miss script, a version of the Ole Miss script.
I don't hate them.
Red numbers right below it. It's clean.
It's got almost kind of a clash between Yankees and Dodgers.
Yeah,
kind of a mix.
Well, I mean, Jake Gibbs was the Yankee. He probably brought the pinstripes in if they weren't already. It was probably
so.
one of he was given navy and white as colors, and he got to do what he wanted with it. So I have a hunch that
I don't hate it.
Talk about how much things has changed. Jake pointed out that until 76 or 77, he didn't even see his baseball team until the spring because he was with football. They had him doing football stuff too in the fall.
Yeah.
And then you come over in the spring and coach some baseballs. He said after the spring he'd go out there and check all the boards in the stadium, see which ones had rotted out, need to replace. They'd call Warner and be like, hey, we need a couple $1,000s to replace the boards in the stadium, and they'd bring in some new wood and get going. That was what you did.
It was just a
baseball wasn't quite the deal it is today. I mean, Kentucky just spent $40 million on a stadium for a team that doesn't care.
And that's the part where when people do the Bianco debate, And I get the other side. I do. I just think there's a tendency to go, well, we, meaning Ole Miss, have given this guy 20 years. Yeah, but I don't think you're completely acknowledging the reality that he is the one that got you to that place. He is the one that created the monster that you now feed. He did it. He did it. Nobody else did it. He did it.
Oh, look, you had the group. You had William Lewis and Ron Bourne and Willie Morris and Robert Kayat and Jeff Robertson and those guys who knew you could win baseball and people would come if you could win. But I'll be honest, Mike had to even convince the administration you could win. Like when he got here, it was, hey, no, we need to do this and we need to do this and this is possible here. This is actually something that can happen. And it took a little while. I mean, Ole Miss used to run out of concessions in his first year because they just didn't expect the people. And then all of a sudden, it's probably the biggest credit for everybody kind of getting on the same page is now as an administration, they're pretty forward-looking when it comes to baseball, and it's been a huge change over the last 20 years.
He forced it.
Yeah.
A lot of people dreamt it.
Yeah.
He did it. He did it. I don't mean that as a disrespect to anybody else around there, but he did it.
Well, it's the funny part of the end of my story because I kind of put all the expansion stuff in one area because all the lore and the stories and stuff's in the beginning and some of the maneuvering. The end is very simple. It made money because they filled the dang place up and then needed more seats. There wasn't some grand story to the end of it. It was that, and Mike says this in here, they sold out season tickets 4 years in a row. Well, it doesn't take a businessman to figure out we need more seats if we're selling out the thing 4 years in a row. And we're also hosting regionals, so people want to make sure they reserve those regional tickets. Well, to do that, you got to buy a season ticket. So all of a sudden, $20 million made sense to expand the stadium from 3,000 to 8,000 or whatever it did at the time. And
in a sport where very few programs turn a profit.
Yeah.
In a sport where, frankly, most of the programs nationally, it's a money drain.
It was Pete Boone's idea to put club seating in, and it's been a gold mine because Mike admits he would have put suites where you have 4 corporations just buy a suite and nobody sits in them. Instead, you get 900 people in there paying every game.
Well, and I don't know whether Pete dreamt of this part or not, whether he was just good fortune, but it showed sort of I'm trying to do this where it doesn't come across like I'm being condescending because I'm not. People like the idea of being seen as, what's the word I'm looking for, Chase, as a higher level
Prominent.
Prominent. Good word. And that allows them to do that. Not only are you going to the game, you're going to the game and sitting in the club with the other people that are prominent. It allows.
Here's the other functionality. It's freaking cold for half the season, and it's built in a way that you can sit inside and still see the game.
Yeah.
It increases attendance by 500% early in the season.
Sure. When it's just too
when
cold
no one's in the stands, but the club level's full.
Yeah.
Everybody's in there eating whatever and sitting and watching the game.
Right.
So
sure. It was genius, and they've done a great job with it. But at the end of the day, I think the overwhelming lion's share of the credit goes to one guy. Yeah. He built that program because nobody else had ever done it consistently. And he did.
If you don't win, that stadium still looks like Tennessee's, which was built in the same era.
Yeah.
Or whomever. I mean, Bama until recently.
Yeah. There was someone on the message board, and I'm not picking on this person, who said making the NCAA tournament is just, it's kind of commonplace in baseball. Alabama says hello. Auburn says hello. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Making the tournament is not a gimme for everybody. And frankly, when you look at the way that sport is laid out today with the way scholarships are and the different things, the fact that it's a given for Ole Miss to make the NCAA tournament is a remarkable accomplishment because there's really nothing. Having people in the stands doesn't bring players necessarily. There's really nothing in the paradigm, if you will, the equation that spells out Ole Miss should be a perennial NCAA tournament team.
I'll get to that in a little bit because I've got a couple quotes I didn't use that I think will highlight some of what you're talking about. Let's go to John Rhys Plumlee in a second. Before we do that, I'll tell you about Scripted Jewelry. ScriptedJewelry.com is the website. Hope that you took advantage of that for Valentine's Day coming up here in a few days because they make this simple. They also make it memorable where you can write your own special message to that special someone in your life. You can see examples. You can see what was recently purchased. Frequently asked questions, turnaround times are fantastic, and much more. And when you check out, you can save money by putting Rebels10, REBELS10, in that coupon box. You save 10% with ScriptedJewelry.com.
My 10 weekend thoughts are also up at rebelgrove.com. Those are sponsored by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you, harryalexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab, filter through by what you're looking for, and then send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person. There's no 10 buttons to push, no 5-minute wait. OUB offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa, and with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000, and with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more about OUB, check out Live Oxford, bankoxford.com, or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. Go in, tell Gene and Sandy Grass that you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast, and you'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And guests such as John Rhys Plumlee join us on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law, specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. When you contact Patterson and Earhart, you speak to one of the partners in the firm, and that's who will handle your case, not some paralegal at a faceless corporate firm. If Patterson and Earhart can't help you, they'll refer you to someone who can. John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart are Ole Miss guys. They're local guys, and when you call them, you're going to get one of them on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their website, PElaws.com. Your initial consultation is free.
Also, I'd like to welcome back to the podcast the Blow Dry Bar Oxford, 662-638-3310 with baseball season upcoming. Maybe the whole family wants to come, and the female in your life like to head on over to the Blow Dry Bar. Get a blowout, get plenty of other packages available, and mention rebelgrove.com. You get a discount in the process. They were named the best new business in Oxford for 2018, Tuesday to Friday, 10 to 6, Saturday, 10 to 3. You can see the website at blowdrybaroxford.com to see all the different options for you. And again, telephone number 662-638-3310. Now, John Rhys Plumlee on the Patterson and Earhart. John Rhys, appreciate you joining us today. I guess let's start here a little bit. You've had a busy while now, all the way through recruiting, going through signing day on Wednesday. What's the last 3 or 4 days been like? You've been able to kind of calm down? Is it nice to sort of have at least that part of it in the rearview mirror and just kind of be a high school student again for a little while?
Yeah, absolutely. This whole kind of process has been really kind of a lot, and so with the classes I'm taking a hard kind of AP calculus is what it is, and so I kind of got behind a little bit through this whole recruitment process towards the end, probably last week or so, and so now I'm just kind of playing catch up, trying to get back where I need to be in that class, you know. And so other two classes I'm taking aren't too rigorous, and so I kind of stayed on top of those. But my AP Calculus class, I kind of got behind on, but working back, you know.
I'm not going to backtrack with you too much, but I'm kind of curious. When did you know it was Ole Miss? I mean, when did you kind of figure out that this was the move you were going to make, and that was going to end up being your home for however long?
It was Monday when I put it out. It was Monday.
Okay.
I got off the phone with Coach Luke at 8:21. I looked at the time, and so that's when I got done talking to him, and it was a major relief for me for sure to have a secure spot, and I was really excited for sure.
Did you kind of just talk to your parents on Sunday night? I mean, what was sort of those last 24 hours like to go, hey, you know, we're making this very difficult decision, and this is how kind of we're going to get down to it?
Yeah. So on Sunday we were headed back from Florida State, and so we were making the long haul. I did a lot of sleeping, you know, and so just kind of slept on it one night, and then Monday came around, and I actually slept in and kind of stayed home from school that day just to kind of have some time to myself to just kind of think and pray on it, you know. And so then my parents came home, and we talked about it, and then I went to baseball and thought about it all through there. And then when I got home, just kind of thought about it some more. This is a big day of thinking, you know, thinking and praying about it. And finally just kind of on my heart, you know, I think Ole Miss was the place for me. And so I told my parents, and they were full support of it. And so we're really excited about it.
You mentioned baseball. I'm a big baseball guy. We always talk about kind of football with you as far as what you learned from the visit and whatnot. But what's your kind of your impressions of the Ole Miss baseball program? I know you've spent some time at least studying that with Mike and those different guys. So what's sort of the baseball side of things from you from the college standpoint?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. They have offered me the opportunity to do both at Ole Miss, and that's something I'm really excited about. Coach Luke said it wouldn't be a problem on his end, and Coach Bianco and Coach Lafferty are really excited about it on their end, you know. They get a kind of free player in that sense, you know, and so they're really excited about it, and I'm excited about it too. And I think the opportunity is really good, and it's a legitimate chance for me to do both, which has been a dream for me since I've been a kid, you know. And so kind of dreams coming true before your eyes, and so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, how do you, I mean, you seem like the kind of kid that could pull this off. It's happened before, a lot of guys can, but, you know, do you almost have to know, you know, going in, hey, I really like both these sports and I'm so dedicated, because it's a time crunch, you know, it's busy for any student athlete, but when you've got to, you know, probably go hit on your own and do some different things, is that sort of a challenge that you look forward to with managing that and figuring out a way to pull off both those sports?
Yeah, I'm most definitely looking forward to it. There is going to be a challenging aspect to it, most definitely, because playing one sport in college is a job in itself, you know. But to play two is, it's going to be a lot of work. But I'm excited to have the opportunity to be able to put in the work and time and effort to be great at both sports. And so I've been doing it since I was a kid, and so now it's going to be on a much bigger stage and a lot more competitive. But I'm really excited to do it.
I kind of have to ask you this, just because it's part of my job, but you're potentially going to have a decision to make this summer. How are you sort of anticipating the draft? How do you sort of, you know, managing and planning that aspect of this before you get to college in the summer or in the fall?
Yeah, this most definitely, I think, is a reality for me for sure. And so it's going to be a big decision when that time comes around. I've been meeting with some scouts, and some scouts will be coming to see me. And so I think it's most definitely going to be an opportunity for me. And so whether God wants me to go in that direction or not, I don't know yet. I still have a lot of praying to do about that. But I'm excited to see what all opportunities unfold.
What are those meetings like when scouts come see you?
It's really neat, for sure. So while we're in this recruiting process, it was really it was something to have to balance it all, you know, because I'll tell you. So 1 week, on Monday, I had an agent that not an agent, an advisor that wanted to represent me. Then Tuesday, I had the Yankees come in my house. And then Wednesday, I had the Red Sox come in my house. And then Thursday, I had Ole Miss come in my house. It was just kind of like, that's how so going back to getting behind an AP Calculus, you know, so you don't really have a whole lot of time for homework when everybody's in your house, you know. You can't do it while they're there. And so when they're leaving kind of late. And so you just kind of have to put your head down and get to work. You know what I mean?
You got to have your pinch yourself moment when you have that kind of week. I mean, because that's not normal.
It's crazy, isn't it? Just to be able to say, I had the Yankees and the Red Sox back-to-back days in my house. It was like, wow, that's crazy. And then to have a SEC college come in the next day, it's like, oh my goodness.
What kind of questions do these? What kind of questions do these scouts ask? I mean, what is that visit like when they come in?
Well, I think they're just kind of getting to know you. You know, trying to get a feel for you. They're just kind of regular people. You know, they're area scouts, and so they kind of scout this area of the United States. And I think they just kind of really want to get to know you as a person and see what your feelings are on maybe deciding to go to the major leagues. You know, and so I think that's really what they're trying to do.
Are they trying to gauge sort of your interest in the college baseball aspect too? Because obviously there are some examples of guys who have played college football while also signing professional contracts.
I would say, yeah, I think they're also trying to gauge that as well.
We mentioned football a lot. What's been your relationship so far with Rich Rodriguez?
He seems like a great guy. You know, just seems like a really cool guy. Definitely knows what he's talking about offensively, and his scheme and what he does on offense, I think, is something that I could do well. I think I fit what he is trying to do, and so I'm really excited to get an opportunity to learn from him and to learn from him and get coached by him, because I feel as though he's had a lot of experience with guys like me, and he can most definitely make me a better player.
Did that elevate Ole Miss for you a little bit when you see it's Rodriguez and that offense as he runs? Because like you said, you seem to be sort of the prototypical skill set for what he's done in the past.
Yeah, most definitely. That most definitely, I guess you would say, helped Ole Miss out in my recruitment because with Phil Longo, I think he kind of likes quarterbacks to be bigger pocket passer kind of guys, and in reality, that's just not what I do. I'm more mobile, a mobile guy, I'm a dual threat kind of guy, and so when Rich Rod was hired and he contacted me, I fit what he does a whole lot better, you know.
Did every school recruit you the same way from a position standpoint, or there is some differences, you know, how much chance they were giving you at quarterback versus other spots, or how long they'd allow you to take that position over before they potentially moved you somewhere else?
Yeah, so early in my recruitment, I was definitely recruited a lot of different ways. So my first actual college offer was for a DB position at Mississippi State. And then Southern Miss came in behind him and kind of offered me, and didn't really clarify what they wanted me as. But as I got kind of later into my recruitment, well, not later, I kind of say once it started kind of getting really hectic and really busy, I kind of sat down and said, hey, okay, so if I want to play quarterback in college. So if you don't recruit me as a quarterback, I told them straight up, I said I want to play quarterback. And so some fell off. And then, like Mississippi State, kind of drifted off because when Dan Mullen was there, because Dan Mullen was kind of a guy that kind of likes a bigger guy too, it seems like. And so they kind of some faded off, but then I had a pretty good season, junior season and senior season, and so then people started getting back on and only recruiting me as a quarterback later in my recruitment.
When do you plan to report to Ole Miss?
Summer. I'm not really sure the exact date, but I think it's early summer.
Obviously, you got baseball, you got other stuff going on too. What are you kind of hoping life looks like for the next few months as you finish up high school and kind of calm it all down a little bit?
Just kind of trying to enjoy high school. You know, I'm really excited about college. I'm really excited to the opportunity at Ole Miss, but at the same time, I don't want to rush through my high school last high school year and my last high school baseball season. You know, and so really excited about this upcoming baseball season with my baseball team and finishing out senior year strong.
Did you kind of have that moment? I mean, I watched you when you signed your letter the other day, and you always talk about everybody around you and all the people that's kind of helped you. Have you had a chance to kind of reflect on this entire process and just while it was hectic, almost kind of appreciate it for what it was and the opportunities that it given you?
Well, absolutely. So at times when it gets really stressful and really hectic, it's like, wow, man, this is really hard. You can just kind of take a step back and you're like, not every kid gets to do this. You know, kids dream about, including myself, when I was a kid, like, hey, I want to be that guy that has these opportunities, you know. And so when it kind of got stressful or hectic, like I said, I just kind of take a step back and say I'm blessed to be able to go through this whether it be the up or the down of the process, because there is ups and downs in the process. And so I just kind of enjoyed it all for what it was,
As long as you're good talking about this, I'm kind of curious. I saw, or I guess I heard, what you doing Friday night? Looked like a pretty cool experience.
Oh, it was called Night to Shine. It's with the Tim Tebow Foundation, so it's a whole lot of fun. So it's a chance for people with special needs or disabilities to have a prom night experience, and so I think it's a really big deal for them, because they don't get to do all of the things that a regular kid gets to do, as in like go to prom is a great example of it, or play or participate in a sporting activity. And so for them to know that, hey, these people care about me, and hey, I'm not so different from everybody else, I think it's a big deal, because I think God loves us all, the same, and we're all made in His image, and for us to not give people a chance or an opportunity to feel like they are loved, I think that's kind of cheating them, and so I think it's a really good opportunity for us and for them, because I benefit a lot from it too, just to see these people that most would say, they have mental handicaps or some sort of handicap, but for the joy that they bring and the joy that they have despite having those handicaps, it kind of puts you into perspective, like, why can't I be as happy as them sometimes, you know what I mean?
How'd you kind of get involved with them?
So I think I did it the first year it was available in Hattiesburg. I think it's the third time they did it this year. Not the third time this year. The third time, like, it's a yearly thing.
Right.
So it's the third year they've done it. And so I kind of heard about it the first time, and I really enjoy working with special needs people because, like I told you, they just kind of bring a joy about them that it's kind of unmatched. They're happy people, and it's something that I really enjoy to be around. I kind of do a Civitan camp is another one I really love to do during the summers. You go in kind of a primitive camp. It's a Girl Scout camp in Mississippi, and you kind of spend a week with your buddy. You get a buddy, and y'all kind of do things together, and you get to learn a lot about them, and they get to learn a lot about you, and so it's a lot of fun for sure.
Kind of last thing, I've seen you on the piano. How many instruments do you play, or can you play?
I play just piano.
That's it? Okay.
That's it. I can play one song on the guitar, but I wouldn't call that playing guitar. I think that's just kind of plunking around on that. But I would say, I do play the piano, and that's a lot of fun in itself. Kind of when you get stressed out, like I told you, with the whole recruitment process, or you get stressed out, tired of doing homework, and kind of go in there and just kind of relax for a minute, kind of get away, just kind of plunk around the piano and have some fun for a while, and then kind of get back to what you're doing. So it's something that I really enjoyed doing. I played since second grade. There's type of piano lessons you can take, and you can learn, like, so the type I took, it was you learn like the scales and the theory and all that, and it's a competitive thing. And so at one point, I think it was in fourth grade or something, I think I won first in the state or something in a performance or something. So it's a lot of fun. And so now that I'm done taking lessons, I enjoy, like, you hear a song on the radio that you like, you can just look up the guitar chords for it and then just plunk it out on the piano. And it's really easy to do, and you can have fun with it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm tone deaf, so I admire it just for any ability to play an instrument whatsoever. But I really, really appreciate the time today, and we'll obviously see you when you get to Oxford here soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks to John Rhys for joining us on the podcast today. A podcast is brought to you also by G&M Pharmacy. Give them a call at 662-236-2222 to move over your medication. You don't have to stay with Walgreens if you are a Fred's customer. You can go to one of Oxford's best hometown pharmacies with G&M. They make it easy. They get to know you, and that makes it quicker on you when you're leaving. I've told you about that. I've done it myself many, many times. You can also vote for them in the Best of Oxford competition for pharmacies at oxfordeagle.com/best of Oxford. And again, that phone number is 662-236-2222.
The podcast is also brought to you by Dead Soxy. You need to really experience the difference a quality sock makes. It's the first step in dressing for a job you want, not necessarily the job you have. Go to deadsoxy.com right now. Enter the code Rebel Grove at checkout. You get 30% off all orders, including sale items. Deadsoxy.com. Enter promo code Rebel Grove for 30% off all orders. Podcast also sponsored by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, but it represents clients in 24 states, has advisors in 3 states. Founded in 1997, Pinnacle Trust provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. At Pinnacle Trust, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan. Cookie-cutter financial planners put you in a box. Pinnacle Trust builds a box just for you. To learn more about Pinnacle Trust, go to pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. I'll have a mailbag later this week. That mailbag will be sponsored by the Westin Jackson. Restore serenity to your soul by visiting Soul Spots, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. Indulge in personalized massages, signature facials, soothing body treatments, and much more on their extensive spa list. Escape from the everyday. Rejuvenate yourself in their luxury spa today. And also gather at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, sip on a creative craft cocktail, or enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships, so gather at Estelle tonight.
Podcast is brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing zone in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting that understands your market. You can ask Jason about the float down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate, but if rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate. 662-234-2704 or JLOW, JLOWE at communitymtg.com. Again, appreciate John Rhys joining us on the podcast. He took some time out of his schedule yesterday. I said this, pretty impressive guy. Had a whirlwind a little bit. You keeping your level head, and for an 18-year-old or any age, staying grounded, Neil, will probably be somewhat difficult when you've got a week where Georgia comes in on Monday, the Yankees come in on Tuesday, the Red Sox come in on Wednesday, Ole Miss comes in on Thursday, and you're trying to sort all these things out. It's takes a little bit, probably more than I would have been capable of at 18 years old, to hold that all together and be able to still fit in the room when I walked in the next morning.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty overwhelming at that age. I mean, I have a high school senior in my house.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Well, the stress on the family, too. It's, hey, we're cooking for all these people every night. We're doing this. Hey, come here. I mean, you know what I mean? Just all the way around.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time when people are like, oh, there's college decision's not hard. Yeah, the college decision is hard. I mean, it's not, and I understand there are people out there that have such an affiliation to whether it be Ole Miss or Mississippi State or Alabama or whatever, that it's not. There is no decision. That's just what you do. But if you're not from one of those families, it is different, especially if you have options, and different options involve different pros and cons, and one might be a little more expensive than the other, but maybe it has a possibility of having more value down the road, all those kinds of things. And then you throw in the sport aspect to it. And in this case, what position do you play? What sport do you play? Do you play both sports? Do you play one sport and play professionally in another sport?
Yeah.
And in the midst of that, oh, by the way, you're 18 and you need to go to college, and you need to figure out what you're going to be when you grow up and what you need to study and all of those things. It's not. People go, it's an easy decision. No, it's not. It's not an easy decision.
No, that was my chuckle of the whole thing. He goes, I needed to kind of catch back up with AP Calculus a little bit. Like, just been busy. I mean,
sure.
Got a lot of stuff going on. And it's,
I'm sure. I mean, Caroline missed 4 days last week with the flu, and she spent the weekend trying to catch up. That was not having meetings and decisions and stuff. Oh, it's be really hard to stay grounded. Just be really hard just to kind of keep up with it.
if he ends up at Ole Miss's program, I think he makes the program better. I think he's a good kid. He's volunteered to do that work with the Night to Shine, the Tim Tebow stuff. Nobody's making him do that. Just impressive. I was glad to talk to him. Glad we had him on the show. But anyway, so closing that other book, it's like when Mike talked about. I didn't include these quotes. Again, I can put them on the message board if anybody has interest because I still have them. I didn't delete everything. The stadium, the locker rooms, all the amenities that they've done. Mike said it best. He said, "Look, I'm not saying that that's going to get a recruit." He goes, "A recruit's not going to walk into this and go, well, I am picking this place because of this." He goes, "But I will tell you 100%, we're not losing one because of it." He said that. He goes, "Everybody says that's the same thing, but that's not the same thing." He said, "When they walk in, he goes, if you have one place that hasn't just put a lot of effort into it, you can tell resources are struggling. Well, it looks like baseball's not as important there. It looks like just the overall thing that doesn't look as big of a deal." He said, so now it puts Ole Miss right there in that conversation with everybody else because they were 13th, 14th in the league in player amenities prior to this last upgrade because the locker rooms were built in 1988. I mean, that's the way it is, the low ceilings, all this stuff. So they did that. They made more amenities for the student athletes, and it's going to help in recruiting, but it helps kind of the opposite way than necessarily people expected. And it's something that also, it just takes time because here's the key to this, and Mike sort of mentioned this, but I can elaborate on this a little bit, is when you have, it's easy to put in bleachers and seats and club areas because that's revenue producers. That's an administration looking at the bottom line going, okay, hey, that makes sense because we're going to add this to the dollar and we're going to do this and we're going to do this and do this. Well, typically the player lounges, the locker rooms, and that kind of stuff, that happens in two instances. Either after a guy's there a really long time and you win and it's needed because the program is stable, which is the Ole Miss example, or frankly, coaches get fired. Because when a new coach comes in, they kind of want to do something to help that coach, but they can't add seats because you're losing. You suck. Nobody's going to come to the games. So you end up renovating some other things and making some other things look nice in your program. So, it's just kind of an order of things, and it's where Ole Miss panned out. And I don't know what's next. I'm not real sure what else you can do, but as of right now, they're in good shape, and I don't think they're starting a fundraiser tomorrow to try to move forward with that anyway. But anyway, so that closes part of that. They open Friday against Wright State, 4 o'clock for that one, noon Saturday, noon Sunday. We'll find out the rotation and the lineup and all that stuff tomorrow. I think that Mike said he knows who he's throwing. He didn't tell us. It's going to be some combination of Will Etheridge on Friday, Houston Roth, Zach Phillips, and Gunnar Hoagland over the course of the weekend. I think it's 4 guys for 3 spots, and I think the other guy probably throws Tuesday against Arkansas State. I guess Jordan Fowler could factor in, but I think it's those 4. We'll find out tomorrow. I did a baseball video chat for about 40 minutes last night. Thought it went pretty well. We'll do another one of those on Sunday night following the Wright State series. I'm a moron. I forgot to hit the record button, so it streamed and then was lost forever because of a couple buttons that I did not hit in different ways that could have saved it. However, but appreciate everybody joining for that. Had a good many questions. Had enough views to justify it. So we'll go on Sunday night and see where it goes from there. You want to go to basketball? What do you want to do?
Sure.
Ole Miss basketball knocks off Georgia. You can read about that in 10 Thoughts. You can read about that with your observations you had up Saturday afternoon following the game. And as we said in the open, they've got one Wednesday that if you get it, great. If you don't get it, all right, fine, move on to the next one. But then you look past that, and other than Tennessee and Kentucky, it's really a pressure cooker the rest of the way where you pretty much have to get all of them. You've got Georgia at home. You've got Missouri at home. You're at Arkansas. You're at South Carolina, and I think there's one more I'm forgetting. I mean, it's a deal where you gotta kind of run it from that point.
Yeah, it's at Auburn Wednesday, Missouri at home. Then it's at South Carolina. They've got Georgia at home in there somewhere. Then they have Tennessee at home. They have at Arkansas. And they have Kentucky at home, and they have at Missouri. I don't know that I have that in the right order, but that's what they have left. I wrote about this a lot in 10 Thoughts. They're 6-4 in the league. There was a debate. It was Andy Kennedy and who's the guy that I never can remember his name. I had to look it up yesterday to write it.
Antoine Walker.
I don't know why I struggle with that. I always want to say Tony Delk. They had this debate on the SEC Network on Saturday. The Ole Miss game ended pretty quickly, and so they had a lot of time before the second game started. And I guess it was Arkansas and South Carolina, or Arkansas and somebody. And they were having the conversation about what you have to do in the league to get in. And Walker believes that 9-9 for everyone, Ole Miss included, is going to get you into the tournament. Andy believed that for a team like Ole Miss to get to the tournament or to feel good about themselves going to Nashville, they needed to be 10-8. I agree with Andy, and here's why. And I wrote this in 10 Thoughts. If you do the 9-9 scenario and you're basically playing by chalk, you've got them losing on Wednesday, losing to Kentucky, and losing to Tennessee. Okay, so that's 7 losses.
Right.
That means that at 9-9, they lost 2 of the other games. Well, here's all that's left on the schedule, Chase. Missouri twice. Missouri is see if I can pull it up.
It was 90-something, wasn't it? Something like that.
I want to say it was 99, but let me try to make sure here. So you got Missouri twice, and they're in the 90s. You've got another game with Georgia. They're in the 80s, I think. I'm pulling it up as we speak.
Yeah, you got it in 10 Thoughts. I'll let you do it.
This was the net as of yesterday. Georgia's net as of yesterday was 114. Missouri's is 91. South Carolina is 99. And Arkansas is 62. So the only one of those losses that you could have not hurt you as of today is Arkansas. And the way that they lost the other day and the heat that's on Anderson, holding that team together is going to be difficult. Because if I'm Daniel Gafford, I'm starting to get to the point in the season where I'm thinking to myself, don't get hurt. Don't get hurt. Because he's an NBA player. Don't get hurt. So Arkansas could fall into the 70s, where a loss there would be a killer. Now, I do believe that if Ole Miss only loses the other 3 games that we're talking about and wins the rest, 11-7, they could go to Nashville and lay an egg, and they're in. Hell, 11-7 might get the 4 seed. Because this league right now is 3 teams,
Yeah.
and then a group of teams, and then a bottom 4.
There is a bottom 4. Yeah.
And there's almost a bottom.
Where are you putting Carolina, though? Because they're freaking 7-3 in the league.
They're in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, because
They're in the middle. I mean, their
overall record's awful, but
the problem with Carolina is that while their league record's really good, and you go, hey, see, a loss there doesn't hurt. They're 99.
is a top 100 road loss hurting you? Because I'm so net RPI confused at this point that I'm a little.
It's not hurting you, but it's not a tier 1 loss. It's not like, hey, you go to Auburn and lose. Okay, well, so what? Where the committee basically looks at it and goes, well, everybody goes to Auburn and loses. All you can do at Auburn is win. But a loss at South Carolina would hurt. A loss at Missouri would hurt.
I'm sort of just going on the podcast here and playing devil's advocate a little bit. Does 9-9 change if you've got a bad loss, but then you beat Tennessee just for the heck of it? I'm just playing the game.
I mean, in that scenario, you'd lose 3 of those other games we just talked about.
Oh, that's a good point, though. Yeah.
Well, I think 10-8 gets them in.
Going to Nashville, not worried in.
Yeah, because the bubble's so bad. The bubble's full of teams that would have resumes that look just like Ole Miss's, and Ole Miss would have enough quality wins. And in this scenario, no real nasty loss. If you go deep dive on the bubble, and I'll do it as we go along, a lot of these teams have bad losses. Ole Miss doesn't. Ole Miss's losses outside of the league are Butler, 53 in the net.
Mm-hmm.
Neutral site Cincinnati, 24 in the net. And a home loss to Iowa State, who's 16 in the net. That's nothing hurting you. Now, flip side, Ole Miss doesn't have a bunch of great wins outside of the league either. They beat Baylor, whose net is 34. If you're an Ole Miss fan, you are cheering for Baylor the rest of the way. I mean, literally, you should be cheering for Baylor. Like putting on green and gold when they play a game and cheering for them, as distasteful as that probably is.
Yeah. Like I said, we have not advocated for that much in the past, but yeah.
You need San Diego to win.
They got back in the 100.
They're 100.
Yeah, look at them.
You need them to go on a run. As goofy as this sounds, you sort of need ULM and Illinois State to keep winning. You need those teams to kind of move up a little so that those wins look a little better. They're in good shape. Got to win. You could flip the script by winning on Wednesday night. And frankly, Ole Miss is a better road team than it is a home team.
Yeah.
They've been really good on the road. Last week, they were not very good at home against A&M until the last 6 minutes. And they were really good in Athens. It was about as good as they can play for the last 35 minutes or so. I thought they looked like the team that beat Auburn in State in the last 35 minutes. So they're in great shape. It's a testament to Kermit Davis that we're having this conversation on February the 11th. I didn't think we'd be having this conversation on February the 11th. I didn't think they'd be 6-4 in the league. Some people did not like, apparently, what I said about the Florida game last week, yet it still remains the truth. If this team ends up a win short, they will look back on those 9 seconds.
Oh, I mean, that changes the resume exponentially.
Well, they'd be in. We wouldn't be having this conversation. They're 36 in the net now. They'd be like 31.
Just don't do anything stupid the rest of the way.
They'd be locked. Just win the games you're supposed to win. Because they'd be 7-3, and they'd with 2 against Missouri, that conceivably gets you to 9. A home game against Georgia gets you to 10. You're in probably at that moment. In. And then everything else would just be kind of cake.
For anyone curious, I'm sure it's a lot of the rehash we're doing now. I'll join Matt Wyatt at 10:10 this morning if the podcast is up. Well, you won't be able to hear it by the time. Never mind. Okay. No. Timing doesn't really work out on that. So
tweet that and post it on
I could
side.
Probably do more than it would do talking about it right now. When it's unless they start in the middle, there'd be no way they could get to this point of the podcast prior to 10:10.
That is true.
Yeah. So unless we have a DeLorean, we're out of luck on this one. And we do not have a DeLorean.
No, if we get a time machine,
we're working on video chat. We haven't quite got to the DeLorean stage of the deal yet.
Yeah. You and Jay both are far more eager with this video chat than I am. I still.
You're not feeling it?
Well, I know it's a good idea. It is difficult for me to say, yeah, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put myself in front of a camera more.
Well, I got a little freaked out last night when one of our top 4%ers tweeted at me and showed me where not only was I on video, she had streamed me to her television.
Saw that.
So I was on about 48 inches last night.
Yeah, I don't need to be on a big screen.
That was that was a little more like ooh.
That's where
a little bit.
That's where you probably think he's scared of the technology or he's lazy, and it's actually neither of those things. It's really a lack of a real desire to get in front of a camera that much.
Is your mic on? Did it slip, or is it still good?
It's on.
Okay. Yeah, the technology has not been awful with this, frankly. It's been okay. I had to learn some stuff. I've had to watch some YouTube videos, but for the most part, it was, other than not hitting the record button, which was just my stupidity. And I was trying to kind of beat the system because I started the stream and said, okay, well, when we really get to talking, I'll hit the record button, and it just slipped my mind. I don't know, but it's kind of fun. You're just answering questions. I poured a drink. I was just kind of hanging out, so it's all good.
I saw that.
It's fine. It's all good. I will say that last thing on the story before we put it to bed, I've never been happier to be in the generation I am as than when I had to go try to read microfilm for a day. I went through the Oxford Eagle archives and getting it not only in the machine correctly, but then figuring out the correct brightness and contrast to actually be able to read it was an undertaking that we struggled with. I'll be honest. It worked out and I had help, but it was a little bit of an issue.
Yep, I used microfilm a lot for research and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when microfilm was a new thing.
Well, at least now you can put it on an actual computer screen. You don't have to use you have to use the microfilm reader, but you don't have to use the microfilm projector. You can actually use a monitor type thing now with the microfilm.
Wow.
Where you can just email the pages straight to yourself and stuff.
You kids are
so you didn't have that, did you?
Nope.
Well, you get looked at a little funny when you walk into the library and you go, hey, I need to find your microfilm. And the lady just kind of looks at you like, yeah, I think it's back over in the corner somewhere. It's back there.
I can remember walking into a library there, Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Monroe, and getting to use one of the machines. You like there were time limits on them.
Really?
And so you were cramming your notes.
Yeah, see, this is so simple. All you did was take your little cursor, capture areas, and then it would just email it to you. You just hit the little button, and it would flash on over.
Didn't have that.
Yeah, they'd scan it in, send it, all good. Now you could. I got a lot of them I couldn't really read later, but it was pretty invaluable. Like I pulled a bunch of quotes from articles, pulled some Whitey Ford quotes from before they did whatever. So it was kind of helpful. What time's the game Wednesday? Is it an early game, late game?
It is a 7:30 game at Auburn.
So late game.
It's a doubleheader that's built around the Eastern time zone, and so it's the late game.
Are you going to let Jay handle that?
I don't know. I hadn't decided.
You're not?
I hadn't decided. I might
thinking about greatest potting while you're over there?
Well, I mean, if I do go, it will be because we agreed to do a greatest pod either before or after. And if we're doing it after, I want to do it on Thursday morning, not Thursday afternoon. And so I've got to discuss that with Mr. Tate and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Got to get Mr. Tate in line from a scheduling standpoint.
Yeah.
So
he marches to his own beat a little bit. I wouldn't mind going over there and taping one on Wednesday afternoon before the contest.
Yeah.
That would make more sense.
That would make a lot of sense.
But that's getting into the J. Tate multitasking.
Where's Gabe been? NCAA just crap? What's he doing?
Yeah, he's had just stuff. He had NCAA stuff one day, and then he had basketball or something another day.
He's got minions.
Yeah, he's got minions. And sometimes, you got to just be a little more creative than that. You got to come up with your own stuff a little so that you're not just constantly doing
the circuit,
the pool stuff. Yeah,
the circuit.
I mean, I've hit the point in the season where I'm kind of tired of the pool stuff. Kind of ready to do something different.
Yeah, see, we're not as locked into the pool as y'all are. We have a little more freedom with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
More storylines on a baseball team than on a basketball team.
35 players.
Yeah.
20 at least matter. At least 20. I mean, you probably got like 4 dudes that you can talk to right now.
I'm going to get the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not criticizing. I mean, because Brian Tyree has emerged as an absolute star in this league.
He has taken off, hasn't
he? But we've not a lot of new to talk to Brian about.
Yeah.
When's the bottom line for Ole Miss is this. This is the bottom line, is that Wednesday night they can win a game that probably puts them in the NCAA tournament. That's the bottom line. I mean, you want to really get down to the nitty-gritty of what it is and what it isn't. If you win on Wednesday night, you're going to have you'll have to screw up to not get to the NCAA tournament.
Podcast brought to you in part by Visit Oxford. You can visit them at visitoxfordms.com/events. Tell you that the annual Francis McEwen Library Show still ongoing today at the Public Library from 10 to 8. Speaking of libraries, you've got a Martin Luther King celebration tomorrow at the Ford Center at 7:30 tomorrow night. Still the Francis McEwen ongoing tomorrow as well. And plenty more. Bryn McLean's going to be your Thacker Mountain radio guest on February 14th, Valentine's night, if you'd like to do that at Off Square Books at 6 o'clock. Also at the Chancellor's House, you've got a Valentine's Day dining, dancing, and silent auction at 6. So a lot of stuff going on in Oxford. See the full calendar of events, see contact info for hotels, restaurants, and more. Really all resources you need for Oxford. That's visitoxfordms.com.
And speaking of visiting Oxford, a good place to stay would be Home 2 Suites in Oxford. It's 101 South Lamar Boulevard, just off the Old Taylor Road exit. Give them a call, 662-238-3400. 662-238-3400. They're open for they're taking reservations for Ole Miss football season. Also, double-decker weekend in late April. I think is there baseball that weekend too?
I'll look. I think so.
Okay. So a lot going on in Oxford, and it'd be a great place to stay, a great place to make your home base. It's pet-friendly, really nice, brand-new facility, nice suites. outside fireplace for a gathering after a game on a Saturday night. It's a part of town that continues to grow really fast. Home 2 Suites, Oxford. Again, the number 662-238-3400. And if you're thinking about going on a trip that's a little further away than Oxford, you should get in touch with John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. You know how this works. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. John traveled the globe for 37 years before he even got into the travel business. He knows the extra attention that is needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. So call John, give him some parameters, give him a budget, and he'll give you options that you will not find on your own, and you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Podcast also brought to you by Mastercuts Lawn and Landscape. You can send them an email at info@gomastercuts.com or give them a call at 662-607-7773 for a free quote. Everything from contract work to take care of the normal yard stuff all year long. They can build structures for you. They can handle flower bed, repair, plant new things. They're doing that for me right now. Just sent me an email about 10 minutes ago telling me exactly when they'll show up, about a week ahead of time to let you know when they'll be there, and they will be on time. So, again, 662-607-7773 or go mastercutslawn.com. I apologize. All right. Some people asked me. They were trying to ridicule me, but I had a nice time at the Kelly Clarkson concert the other night.
Why were they ridiculing you?
Oh, just playing around. But
she's very, very talented.
She's incredibly talented. There wasn't, there always is with any concert, but there weren't tons of bells and whistles for the most part. Just singing. It was good.
See, this is one of my pet peeves right here. This is a Neal McCready pet peeve. That music has to be cool for you to like it. That's a pet peeve, big time.
We don't know the number of people that have like buddies that said, "Yeah, I like her. She's good." Like, I mean,
let me do this. When someone's in the top 40 or the top 10 all the damn time, most people like them. It's like when people go, why'd they get Maroon 5 for the Super Bowl? Okay, because here's why. In that arena, with setting up a stage that fast and all that stuff that they've got to do in a 20, 25-minute period, it's going to be a cluster, no matter who it is. Mm-hmm. Okay? You don't know whether it's going to rain. In this case, it wasn't going to rain because it's in a dome. But you don't know all the stuff. If something's going to go wrong, it's going to be a mess. So what do you need? Mass appeal.
Well, people watch the Super Bowl not for this game, so
yes. When they go, well, you really ought to get REM or something. Is REM or whoever? I'm just using them as an example. There was a lot of talk about getting some of the rap acts from Atlanta that are very famous. But are those acts as mass? Do they have the mass appeal that Maroon 5 does? The answer is no.
I didn't watch it. Was it a poor performance relative to Maroon 5?
Yes.
I saw some of that criticism.
Yes. It was bad. The acoustics were bad. Really? It really didn't work. They tried too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, this was some girl from The Voice was the first open, young girl, I don't know. And then Kelsey Ballerini, a country singer. Perky, she was fun. She was fine.
Yeah.
Had 4 number 1 hits, I think. And then
she's done better at music than most people.
Yeah, that's fair. And then Clarkson sang 22 songs plus 3 or 4 with the encore, so 25, 26.
She's a powerhouse.
Something like that. Yeah, had a lot of personality, real down to earth. She was good.
She's a star.
It was pleasant.
She's a superstar.
Yeah,
I mean, do I like all of her music? No, but I like a lot of it. It's good. She's talented.
She opened up like basically a cappella, and you go, okay, you can sing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that not everybody pulls that off. Not a lot of auto-tune going on.
You can make fun of American Idol and shows like that, but for the most part, those shows do sort of parse through the talent, and the really talented people make it to the end. And
I told Kara the night when we were there, American Idol yeah, it was probably going to work to some extent no matter what. Got so fortunate that she was their first winner.
Of course.
You hit the big star first. You know,
Yeah.
that season 1 needed the Kelly Clarkson or the Carrie Underwood or whomever to throw it.
Yeah.
You know, not picking on like, you know, Taylor Hicks or Chris Allen or somebody wins season 1. It might just go.
Yeah. Or it's a good singer. But
Yeah, it's fine.
Right.
But instead, you hit a megastar in season 1.
I mean, you know, Taylor Hicks is good. I mean, he's on the
it's
secondary circuit. He's good. Not great, but
Yeah.
good.
But he's not one of the 4 or 5 that have.
Kelly Clarkson's a superstar with a
Yeah.
phenomenal voice and major talent. So
Yeah.
I laughed at all the people making fun of it. I'm like, she's really good.
Yes, it was full. There were it was not all female. There was a heavy female contingent, but it was not all female by any stretch.
No.
There were several groups of guys that came apparently by themselves around us. Best I could tell.
I mean, she sold a ton of.
Got a lot of hits.
What used to be albums, now it's I guess people download their songs or
Yeah, but still called records. I think
whatever.
Yeah,
She's always at the top of the charts. You don't do that by just appealing to one sex out of the. It doesn't work like that.
no. It was pretty quick. Started right at 7. First person was done by like 7:25. Next person started at like 7:45. They were done at like 8:15. I think she came on at 8:45 and out of there at 10:25, 10:30.
Where was it? Memphis?
Lander Center in South Haven.
Ah.
Yeah. Fine. It's all good.
Packed
Yeah,
house?
it was kind of. Oh yeah, it was definitely full. Yeah, it was kind of funny because like you look at all the dates and like around it is like you know St. Louis, Kansas City, Detroit, and all this, and it's like South Haven. It's like good, but little strange. It was a couple small pockets in there at different times. Russell has a lot of stuff up at RealGrove.com. He's got some of the most wanted for 2020. A lot of Memphis appeal to that, as we've talked about in the past. I'll ask you this: we kind of get ready to close. What'd you think about Tom Crean's comments following the game, where he essentially called out his entire roster and blamed it on himself for not cutting them prior to the season?
Ill-advised. His way of sending a message to fans and future kids that this isn't going to work like this. I thought he coached a poor game the other day. The Claxton kid should get the ball every possession, especially against a team like Ole Miss that has had a hard time defending in the post. Yet I thought Bruce and Dom combined did a decent job defending in the post. And they couldn't guard Ole Miss's guards. He's frustrated. They're 1-9. They're bad. They're going to play on Wednesday night in Nashville, which is the night that doesn't.
Somebody's got to win.
Which is the night that really doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And there's a real chance that they're going to not even make it to Thursday. And if they do make it to Thursday, they're going to get popped by somebody on Thursday in Nashville. And he's frustrated. But I don't know whether it's happened or not. I think they landed.
It was the white towel that I'm done with all of you.
Moving on.
Yeah.
And it helps that today, I think did Edwards commit to them?
I don't know.
I haven't found it. I think they got a national top 5 player committed to them this morning, which it helps in basketball. The people that go, oh, it's bad, he's going to fail. It's too early to say he's going to fail. It's too early to say he's going to fail. We'll see.
It's a hard job. Not many people win there.
For whatever reason, people don't win there in basketball. And for whatever reason, people don't consistently win there in baseball. And I, for the life of me, don't really understand it. But it hasn't happened. And I will give them this. Their uniform game on Saturday was just spectacular.
I saw you mention that.
The all-white throwbacks were straight. They were so clean.
Really?
Fire. Oh, it's beautiful uniform.
I did not watch a second of the game because I was writing. What color were the numerals and the letters?
I want to say the numerals were red, maybe black. I don't know. They were so clean. I just remember thinking that was perfect.
Okay.
It was really, really well done. I saw some other people. I got some feedback on that. People going, "You're right. Those are great uniforms." Ole Miss wore the blue, the navy blue, and so it really contrasted. You could see just how clean the white looked.
Teams should really coordinate their uniforms every time they go on the court, shouldn't they?
It was hot.
Hey, what are y'all wearing? Okay, we'll wear this.
It was a great look. Georgia had a great uniform game. They did not play particularly well in the uniform.
To be the same school, it's amazing the love-hate of the powder blue baseball versus basketball. And a lot of it's because it's not actually the same color. But it's the powder blue, for the most part, is universally liked for baseball, and it is hated for basketball.
Well, with the basketball, they've got the script M. I just think there's a better way to do that. Like, I like the script M as a secondary mark. I'm talking strictly as a uniform person. That's it. I like uniforms. And then I don't like – they've got a little too much – I don't know whether it's black or a navy blue or what mixed in with it, that it almost feels like you're trying too much.
The baseball team has added red cleats to their powder blue uniform.
I saw that. I'm in favor.
You good with that?
Yeah.
I meant to ask about it yesterday, and I just forgot. But I forgot a lot of stuff. I had like a list to ask Mike yesterday, and it just half of it slipped my mind. I don't know.
I'm in favor of the red cleats. Yep, it's a good contrast because they go with the red hat with that uniform, so it's a nice bracket.
Red cleats for everything?
I wouldn't have a problem with red cleats as a whole.
Where you fall on white cleats? I'm not a fan of white cleats.
Not my favorite thing. The Bearcats, we wore black cleats because black cleats make you look slower on film than you really are. That's what the coaches said.
What?
Our coaches at Ruston said that we wear black cleats because on film it makes us look slower than we really are, and we surprise them with their speed.
You're serious?
I'm totally serious. And if the Bearcats say that, then by God, it's true.
It's the same people. Like, it's the same thing as you go, well, they wore pinstripes because it's slimming. Same thing.
Pinstripes are slimming.
Yeah.
I mean, if a Yankee looks fat, he's fat.
Like David Wells, he was just big.
He was a big boy.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, like Anthony Rizzo.
CC, just a big dude.
Anthony Rizzo's a big guy. Now, he's not fat, but he's a big guy. Pinstripes make him look lean.
Okay. Another reason to bring back those Navy ones as we
those are good look. I mean, I'll be honest, those were better than those gray things they wear at times.
You don't like the gray uniforms,
with
do you?
The blue.
Yeah.
No,
it looks very batting practice-ish.
They would be perfect for batting practice.
They're very road batting practice is what they are.
Yeah, wear them at 4 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah.
And then get them off.
We'll see what they do with them. They go on the road next week at Tulane, so we'll see when they put them.
They're going to wear them.
They put them into action next weekend.
They're going to wear them on Saturday like they always do.
Yeah. So, because they'll take some. They'll wear red or blue on Friday.
And they'll wear powder blue on
Sunday.
See, I would make the powder blue a consistent road uniform
instead of the home, just every Sunday, no matter what.
Mix it at home too.
Okay. What has its day right now? They wear it on Sunday. That is what they wear.
Yeah.
Day game, we're wearing it on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the Braves used to or still do wear those god-awful all-Navy suits on Sunday.
I think they cleaned those up a little. They added some color to it.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Cardinals wear that cream on Sunday.
I like cream a lot.
Quite frankly, you should wear it far more often than you do. It's a better look.
I like the cream. Arkansas's got a really good cream.
Yeah, their cream uniform's really good.
Auburn either did or does have a really good cream.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
There's a couple of those sticking out in my head as I'm just kind of going through the league a little bit.
Arkansas's is really good.
We're close to getting seeing Vanderbilt's navy blue uniforms again.
That's the stupidest uniform in the league. It's horrible.
It's patriotic is what it is. It has stars and stripes all over it.
It's horrible.
It's the People's University.
It's just horrible. It's so bad. It's on the list of uniforms. It's just so bad.
I mentioned this in my chat last night, and we will close here. Looking at schedules, Ole Miss misses Vanderbilt. They miss Georgia. They miss South Carolina. All good things for Ole Miss. I don't know who Kevin O'Sullivan pissed off in the conference office, the University of Florida head baseball coach, but yes. I have a feeling that he definitely pissed off someone because when I look at their schedule in SEC play, pulling it up, they have to go to Vanderbilt, they have to go to Ole Miss, they have to go to LSU, and they have to go to Georgia this season. So you really don't like their chances too much to pull off a 20-10 deal right there.
You could go 4-8 in those 12 fast.
I mean, that's a scary little deal there. I did not realize it was so bad until I had
at Vanderbilt, at LSU, and at Ole Miss.
Yeah, and Georgia's good.
Oof.
I mean, that's
you go 2-7 in those 9.
That's why everybody likes Ole Miss's chances in some ways. LSU, I think they miss Vanderbilt too, which brings me to Vanderbilt a little bit from the SEC West standpoint. They play A&M, they play Arkansas, they play Alabama, and they play Auburn. So they miss LSU, they miss Ole Miss, and they miss Mississippi State. So 2 of those really big for the Commodores, and as previously mentioned, they get Arkansas and Florida at home.
Huh.
So Vanderbilt, a really, really, really good schedule, and the scary thing about them is they're going to be even better next year. This is still not their year yet. So
just the little engine that
the
could.
little engine that could, the Vanderbilt Commodores. I mean, really dodged a bullet that Tim Corbin did not take that state job, that he avoided going to the powerhouse that is Mississippi State.
I don't know how Vanderbilt kept him with that state job open like that.
I mean, have you looked at the stadiums? Have you looked at the stadiums?
I know. State has this palace, and
Vanderbilt's landlocked in this little block right here.
Yeah, you can hardly get around. It's claustrophobic.
I'm surprised they have room to make the mound 60 feet 6 inches in the place.
Really, when you think about it, I don't know how they even practice.
Yeah.
Then you have all those former major leaguers that want to work out in the off season. I mean, where do you fit everybody in? And then
you really got to tell David Price, sorry, there's just not really room today for you.
And then you're on West End of Nashville with the ability to give basically a full academic scholarship to a prestigious academic school. How'd you keep him away from Starkville with 11.7 scholarships
and paying him basically a complete mint while you're doing it?
Yeah,
so.
And you're gonna pay him more.
Anyway,
the little engine that could, Vanderbilt baseball.
Again, appreciate John Rhys Plumlee for joining us today. Plenty at rebelgrove.com, and more to come. So we'll talk to you tomorrow.